president responded to Judge Robart's ruling in a tweet. Here's what he wrote. The opinion of this so-called judge, which essentially takes law enforcement away from our country, is ridiculous and will be overturned. First of all, is it becoming for a president to call a judge a so-called judge?
Well, it does feel like Democrats across the country suddenly have amnesia. They're very upset about this, but when President Obama invited the Supreme Court to sit in the well of the Congress and then berated them in front of a Democratic crowd when they were sitting with the Democratic side, and Democrats at least didn't seem to have a huge problem with that when it happened. And of course, through history, you have FDR, Andrew Jackson, plenty of presidents have disagreed with justices on the Supreme Court. So I didn't think this was particularly one way or the other. He disagreed with the opinion, and he said so.
But here's the deal. The language that's being used, I didn't ask you about what President Obama did. I want to know if you think it's appropriate for the President of the United States to call a judge a so-called judge.
Well, I think he's making a point about judgment, because here you have the lower court judge, and I'm an attorney, so when you're looking for an injunction, there has to be a likelihood of success on the merits. The lower court judge doesn't reference the likelihood of success on the merits because the likelihood of success on the merits is very low when you're dealing with the president and immigration authority, which is quite large. So, yes, his judgment is rightly called into question here.
Okay. Then I suppose you don't think Senator Sessions, as he is soon to become the Attorney General of the U.S., you don't think he should condemn at all this language, a so-called judge?
The looking for condemnation from everything and all sides is turned into a bit of a silly game. No,
it'd be a full-time game, don't you think?
Well, if Democrats had their way, it would be. They still haven't accepted the results of this election. They wanted recounts. They now want condemnation on everything. They want to protest everything. If Donald Trump came out for puppies, the Democrats would come out against them.
All right. What about the Washington Post, which suggests that the president's flurry of executive orders, that they have Senator Sessions' fingerprints on nearly all of them, at least ideologically? Is that an accurate assessment? And with regard to the immigration order specifically, Sarah, what role did Senator Sessions have to play?
Well, it's actually been reported that he had no role in the immigration executive order. Ideologically, I think Senator Sessions and candidate Donald Trump were very clear about what they wanted to do on immigration, and Donald Trump his campaign promises. I know that Democrats don't like that, but he said he was going to do it, and now he's doing it, and they're up in arms about it. At the same time, however, they are bringing a new meaning to the term obstructionism. You can add up all of the cabinet members left unconfirmed by this point in a presidency, add them up from George Washington through Barack Obama. Combined, they are less than what Donald Trump has outstanding. So Democrats can complain about these executive orders, but obstructing cabinet members simply to protest the president, who they will not accept one in November, is getting out of hand.
What about the president from his pre-Super Bowl interview that's going to run? Let's take a listen to part of that. Here it is.
Well, many people have come out and said I'm right. You know that.
I know, but you got to have data to back
Let me just tell you, when you see illegals, people that are not citizens, and they're on the registration rolls. Look, Bill, we can be babies, but you take a look at the registration. You have illegals, you have dead people, you have this. It's really a bad situation. It's really bad.
So look, he's still holding on to the notion of 3 million illegal voters without showing any clear proof. Do you think he should just drop this, or is this an investigation that the Justice Department should pursue?
Well, I understand why the president's frustrated. His legitimacy, his candidacy, his presidency has not gone a day without being questioned by Democrats. You know, it's funny. They're the ones who wanted a recount, who said there was voter fraud in Wisconsin and Michigan and Pennsylvania, and nobody condemned them. They, in fact, spent millions of dollars on a recount. But when President Trump says that there are dead people on voter rolls, which we know to be the fact, at least in some places, then it's somehow unacceptable. I think that the problem really here is that Democrats refuse to accept the election results. And until they do, there's going to be this tension in the country where we have a new presidency, a new House, and there are going to be things that they don't like that are going to happen now. That's the way it works. It works this way in 2009. They need to move on.
Sarah, what about the parallels that President Trump drew in that same interview with the U.S. and President Putin?
Oh, when he, yes. Again, I think this does come down to questioning his legitimacy. I think that President Trump was not making an equivalency between the United States and Russia. I certainly don't agree that there's any equivalency between the United States and Russia, and I don't think he does either. I think he was making a point about leadership in the U.S.'s relationship with Russia. So I haven't seen the whole interview. I've seen that clip of it, and Vice President Pence has come out and said that he was not making that equivalency. I believe that.